Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. I think I've frozen, which is a really good start. Just like to know if everybody can hear me. That would be brilliant. Just see. Just putting a message in, see if you can actually hear me. Because it looks like I've frozen. Yes, good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right, very good, very good. You can hear me. I think I've frozen, so I'm just going to turn the video off because that's obviously not working. And we'll just go through, we'll just start going through the webinar. So I have a question. Someone sent me a question, I think. Not sure. Nope. Okay, so everybody's here. Also, awesome. Okay, welcome everybody and thank you for attending today's session. So in today's webinar, we will be going through marketing and student rights and responsibilities, which is standard 4.1, 5.1 and 5.2. Marketing is often where a lot of RTOs make mistakes. I'm often going into people's websites and finding non-compliances. And it's interesting where I find non-compliances. So, and websites are actually a big area where there has been non-compliances, and ASQA actually undertook a review of RTO's websites earlier this year. In particular, they were looking at inconsistencies between what the RTO said they were doing in training and assessment strategies compared to what they're marketing on their website, and in particular was volume of learning and the amount of hours that they're delivering the training within. So it's been an issue that ASQA have identified. Now, for some reason, my page is not loading. So I'll just see. Oh, we love technology. I don't know whether my slide's moving for everybody else, but it's not moving for me. I'm going to have to. All right, it looks like I've lost my connection. Just see if we can reconnect. If you can hear me, please let me know. Just loving technology. Oh, good now. All good, all good. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so I'm moving now and you can see my video and things like that, which is awesome. Okay. So as per usual, this webinar forms part of your continuous improvement process under Standard 2.2. Following this webinar, you should hold your monthly quality and compliance meeting and minute that you attended this webinar, which is part of your professional development. And the only way you can really prove it, other than because you've attended the live webinar, you'll actually receive a certificate because you attended the live webinar. But you should also minute what you learnt during the webinar and anything that you're going to improve based on what you've learnt in the webinar. You should also review the policy and procedure for Standard 2.2, but also for 4.1, 5.1 and 5.2. You should also review and have a look at the policies and procedures and identify, are you doing what is in the policies and procedures? And if not, why not? And is there anything that you need to update, any documentation, or maybe perhaps even your website you may need to update? Okay, So as I explained earlier today, we are going through Standard 4 and 5. So Standard 4 is marketing. Standard 5 is the information you provide your students prior to course commencement, and also the information you provide to your students in order for them to make an informed decision on enrolling into the course, but also information on how you're going to support the student throughout the process of them being a student with your organisation. Now, it's really, the Standard 5 ties in with Standard 4. So often if you have non-compliances with Standard 5, you'll also have non-compliances with Standard 4. So they tie in together really well. And, the information is going to cross over. We're going to be looking at a few documents today. So I'm going to be looking at some course flyers. I'm also going to be looking at some websites. I'm going to be looking at student handbook. And for the first time, we're actually going to be looking at some CRICOS information as well. So any clients that we have on board who are doing CRICOS, we'll be having a look at which they all relate to each other. So it's relevant for RTO as well as CRICOS. Next year, we will be launching CRICOS webinars as well. So we'll be doing an RTO webinar and also CRICOS webinars on compliance as we're now launched into CRICOS. Okay. So Standard 4 is all around your marketing. So it's the information that you distribute to your students prior to course commencement, but it's also information that will be on your website and may or may not be on your website. You can also look at social media marketing as well, and look at what should be on your social media pages and how your Facebook business page should be set up. So I'll have a look today at a business page for an RTO on Facebook, and I'll give you some feedback on what should be on your Facebook page as well. So we'll have a look at that. Okay, so a lot of around the marketing, as I'd said before, ASQA had actually undertaken a strategic review earlier this year on volume of learning, and it was based on hours that organisations were marketing on their website. And a lot of RTOs are marketing courses on their website which are below the volume of learning requirements. So that's been a major non-compliance with RTOs. And there's actually RTOs who have ended up going to audit because of the information that's on their website. And all you need is a competitor to make a complaint about your organisation to ASQA, and you could go to audit and have a complaint about the marketing on your website. Now, I actually encourage my clients to make a complaint to ASQA if their competition are marketing courses below the volume of learning requirements. So it's something you can do as well, because how are we supposed to compete with RTOs that are delivering training within a short time period if we're not making a complaint about that RTO? So I strongly recommend it. Excuse me. Just grab some water. So yeah, if you've got a competitor who's marketing courses below the volume of learning requirements and you're trying to compete with the volume of learning hours that you're required to deliver in, then yeah, by all means, you should make a complaint about them. Now, any complaints that you submit on ASQA.net you can be kept as private and confidential, so you don't need to declare. You will have to put your details in there, but you actually have a tick box that you can tick to state that you want to be anonymous with your complaints. So so I encourage you, put those complaints in, and it happens all the time. ASQA have actually stated that 50% of their complaints come from other RTOs, and that's because the other RTOs actually know what is compliant and what is not compliant. So the big thing with the marketing is that you're clear and transparent to your students prior to course commencement with all the fees that would be involved with delivery of your training. So there should be no surprises to the student following course commencement. There can't be another fee and another fee and another fee that's added on to the course following course commencement. So it should be really clear to the student all the course fees prior to course commencement. So that's a major one. The other one is that it should be clear to your student where they're going to be going for their training. So if you're going to be doing face-to-face training in one area and practical training in another area, another location, then you need to make sure that you have both those locations on your marketing material. The other thing that you need to be clear on is any work placement requirements that they're required to do. Are you going to assist them in getting a placement in at the work placement? Are there any reassessment fees? So if you're doing forklift driving, for example, you may be charging a reassessment fee because you're going to have to get another assessor out. You're going to need the equipment and things like that. So it needs to be clear on your marketing material what those reassessment fees are. So that's the main one where there are non-compliances. The other one is in the use of the NRT logo and the AQF logo. So we're going to be looking at that today. All of your marketing should include your RTO code, and that includes if you're using any social media marketing, or the social media marketing should also include your RTO ID. And what I find is the best strategy that I'm seeing that RTOs are doing, particularly for Facebook, is they're putting their RTO ID in the name of their RTO. So it comes up everywhere. So every time you're posting, your RTO ID is coming up as well. So that's a good strategy for ensuring that you always have the RTO ID in your marketing. On Facebook in particular. You can do the same on LinkedIn. You could do the same on Instagram, your Twitter account, so a lot of your other social media. The marketing experts are actually stating that the future of marketing is not going to be websites, it's going to be social media. So it's really important, if you are not on social media, that you get onto social media now, because that's the way of the future. They're saying within the next 5 to 10 years, there will be no more websites, and marketing will be mainly through social media platforms. So you need to look at, and a big thing now is make sure that your website is accessible from your digital device. So it's really important that any digital devices that you have, that your website will also work on those digital devices, because 80% of Google searches are happening on digital devices, so phones and iPads and things like that. So they're not actually happening on computers anymore. So it's really important that you get your social media marketing up and going on your digital devices, and make sure your website is also readable on your mobile phone. We have a marketing system we use called Infusionsoft, where we can actually see what the marketing looks like in an email, but also on a digital device. So it's a really good idea to have a look at how your marketing is going to work on digital devices as well. But this is the way of the future. You need to really be looking at how you are marketing and what ways are you marketing. So I'm not only talking about today how to comply with the standards, but it's also looking at the future and the way you need to market your organisation. And search engine optimization is also very important for RTOs in order for you to have the best, like particularly if you're delivering courses that are very competitive, it's really important that you have really good search engine optimization for your website. We have a couple of organizations that you may be interested in working with. Our marketing person that we use is Gerald Chait. Gerald, he does specific SEO for the training industry, and it's mostly because he's been working with us. I only found this the other day when I was having a look at his website. Yeah, he's actually helping RTOs with marketing their websites. So I'm just going to pop that link to his website into the chat section there, so you can check out Gerald's marketing that he's doing specifically. I was just trying to see if I can find, I found it on his page where it was specific for the training industry. Yep, here we go, I found it. Okay, so he's got a landing page that's specifically for the training industry as well. So these are the different types of organisations that you can go through who do specific marketing for RTOs, because RTOs are very competitive. It's a very competitive market to market to, and it has a good video on there about maximising student numbers and things like that as well. So check them out. So Gerald's been doing a great job in our SEO and our marketing. We're also going to go through a website redesign within the next 6 to 12 months, and he'll be doing the redesign of our website as well. Okay, back to the standards. So other things within the marketing is you've got to make it very clear in your marketing what is non-accredited training and what is accredited training. So if you're delivering non-accredited training that's not nationally recognised training, it needs to be clear on your marketing that it's not nationally recognised. And you've also got to be really careful with using the NRT logo and the AQF logo, which you can't use on non-accredited training. So it's got to be really clear. So I'll have a look at those logos a little bit later. Whenever you are marketing, you should also make sure that your marketing includes the code and title of the unit or the qualification in your marketing, and make it clear that what you are marketing. That you only advertise qualifications and units of competencies that are on your scope of registration listed on TGA, so training.gov.au, and that you're not marketing courses that aren't on your scope of registration. That includes if you are doing an addition to scope and your addition to scope hasn't been approved yet, you can't market it. You can't have it on any of your marketing materials. You can't even send a mail out saying when we get it on our scope, because you can't guarantee that it will go on your scope. So this is something that ASQA will clamp down on. You cannot be marketing anything, any unit, any qualification or any training product that you don't currently have on your scope of registration. So you've got to be really careful with marketing any courses, and this includes for initial registration. If you haven't actually got your registration yet and you're going through the process of initial registration, you've got to make sure you can develop a website but don't have it live. You've got to make sure that you're not marketing a qualification or that you are an RTO when you're in actual fact not an RTO yet. So you've got to be really, really careful. We had a client recently who was marketing that they're a CRICOS provider. They're currently an RTO and they're applying for CRICOS registration, but they aren't actually a CRICOS provider yet. And someone made a complaint about them and submitted it to ASQA, and ASQA actually sent them a complaint email and requested evidence and explanation of why the website was marketing CRICOS when it wasn't actually CRICOS. We were able to respond on behalf of the client, which was really good, and we just explained that that it wasn't supposed to be live, and that they were actually marketing other another arm of their business, which is they are an education agent. So we did explain, and we took off all the non-compliances off the website. So you need to be really careful what you're marketing on your website, because you never know who's going to make a complaint about you. The other one is, and I'll go through to the next slide now. So prior to enrolment, students must be provided with all the relevant information that informs them about the training and assessment and support services. It must be clear on your marketing what the student's rights and responsibilities are, including any entry requirements that you have for the student. So you may have an age limit, you may require them to hold a license, you may require them to complete a working with children check or a police record check, or you might require them to have a first aid certificate prior to entering into the course. This needs to be all clear on your marketing prior to course commencement. The following documents are the documents that we have included in our Vivacity documents that we use for marketing, which is course flyers, your enrolment agreement form. Website is also one that they're going to look at. It's not one of the documents we provide, but they will be looking at that. The student handbook, we have an organisational profile template that you can use as well. And then we have a PowerPoint presentation, student induction PowerPoint presentation, which you can also use for information sessions. Okay, so your marketing material, with all of your marketing, your CEO should, and part of your policies and procedures state that the CEO will approve all marketing prior to distribution, because ultimately the CEO of the RTO or the CRICOS provider is responsible for all marketing. So if there's any non-compliances with marketing, it'll be the CEO's responsibility. So the CEO or the PEO, if you're a CRICOS provider, will be required to submit be responsible for any marketing material. So if there's any non-compliances, it'll be on your head as non-compliant. So they are required to sign off on any marketing. And this includes if you have any third parties. So if you have another provider who is delivering training and assessment under your scope of registration, then that marketing, any marketing that they have, must also be approved by the CEO or the PEO. Okay, so as a minimum, students should be provided with the following information prior to course commencement. So the total amount of the fees, so all course fees, administration fees, material fees. As I said before, if they're required to do a first aid course prior to, if they're required to undertake a police record check or working with children check, what are the fees involved for that? If you have any prerequisites at all, prerequisite requirements for the student to enter into the course, it must be clear on your marketing material what those prereqs are, and if there's any fees involved with that, what those fees are. If there's any fees involved following completion of the course, for example, they may be seeking a license outcome, for example, heavy vehicle licensing, or it might be a security license, or it might be forklift driving license. Then another one is RSA, so responsible service of alcohol. Then it must be clear on your marketing materials what those fees will be for licensing following completion of the course. So as I said before, it's clear and transparent to the student what all the fees will be before, during and after the course in order for them to get the outcome that they desire. So if the desired outcome is a license outcome and they need to do your certificate first before they can get the license outcome, then you need to be clear what all those fees are. You need to also ensure that you include all the payment terms and conditions, so the time. So if you are doing payment plans, how are the payment plans going to be paid? You cannot take more than $1,500 prior to course commencement, and then the remainder of the fees should be divvied up over the duration of the course. So it needs to be clear. You can't take $1,500 prior to course commencement, then $1,500 on commencement if the course is going to take 6 months. So it should be that remaining fees should be divvied up over the 6-month period of the course. That's the way the payment plan should be. You should also include what are any non-refundable fees. So if there's a deposit or administration fee, that should be clear on your marketing as well. Then if you have a training guarantee, what the nature of that guarantee will be, and that is that you'll complete all training and assessment and of their chosen study or the qualification or the course that they're enrolled in, what additional services, we've got that in there, and what your RTO's refund policy is. So we have the refund policy in the student handbook, and we also have a reference to it on your marketing material on the course flyer. So all marketing conducted by the RTO will be undertaken with integrity and accuracy to provide clients with sufficient information to make an informed decision. So this is in your policies and procedures within your student handbook and also in your Q&C manual. So in order to ensure that marketing is conducted with integrity and accuracy, all marketing must be submitted to the CEO for approval prior to dissemination into the market. There should be written approval from an individual organisation who you reference within your marketing. So if you use a logo of another organisation on your website or on your marketing material, you need to have written approval from that organisation to utilise their logo. So you may want to put another organisation's logo on your course flyer because they've endorsed the training that you're delivering, that's fine. You can do that. That's not a problem. But you need to have a written agreement with that organisation that you can use their logo and that they have endorsed your training. So it's not a problem to do that, but make sure you have a written agreement with them. Now, that can include using the VELG training logo on your website. Now, with the VELG training logo, they actually include a written agreement with your membership, and they encourage you to put their logo on your website. So that's an example of where you might already have a written agreement with them. But if you're using any other organisation where you might be delivering training in conjunction with another organisation, you need to have a written agreement between the two parties that that you will be marketing their logo and with that organisation. So all advertising material must include the contact details of the CEO and or person qualified and experience in the AQF qualification being promoted. So the RTO, you need to have all contact details on your marketing material. So it's not the CEO's personal contact details, but it's the contact details of the RTO, the website, email addresses, what the address of the RTO is as well. So a copy of the authorised marketing and advertising material together with any approvals are to be kept on file by the CEO. The printing and publishing of marketing and advertising material can only be authorised by the CEO, and all printed, published or advertising will be clearly distinguished between nationally recognised training and assessment and non-accredited training offered by the RTO. Marketing must not guarantee that the student will you cannot guarantee that a student will complete a course. You cannot guarantee that the student will get a certificate because they have to complete assessment requirements as well. And you can say things like on successful completion of this unit or successful completion of this qualification and you meeting all the competency requirements, you will receive a certificate, but you cannot guarantee that they will receive the certificate. You cannot state that the student will be guaranteed a certificate that it does not meet the training products requirements. So they do not meet the unit of competency requirements or the assessment condition requirements within the training package. And you cannot also guarantee that the student will get a particular employment outcome. You cannot state, by finishing this course, we guarantee that you'll get a job in this industry. You also can't state that you'll get, there's an 80% chance that you'll get a job within this industry. You need to be really clear that getting a certificate will not guarantee that they will get a job. Now, you can state things like, we have an 80% success rate of students gaining a job from completion of our training. You can do things like that, but make sure you have the stats to back it up if ASQA do audit you and they want to see what this 80% achievement rate is. So you need to have some evidence to support that. Okay, so we're actually going to have a look at our course flyer template. So this is the main information that is on the course flyer. So I'm going to switch over to our course flyer and you can have a look at our course flyer and what should be on the course flyer. So I'm going to be looking at our template, so our course flyer template, which is the one that we use with our clients. So it's a good basis for your marketing. You do not have to use this course flyer template. You can use your own, but the key information that's on here you must have on all your marketing material. So you can change the layout of the marketing material. You can add more information on your marketing material if you'd like to have more information. But this key information you must have on your marketing material. Now, all the information that you put on your marketing material should come from your training and assessment strategy. We've just recently undertaken a review of the training assessment strategy template, and we've updated that template, which is now on Unicorn. And in the training and assessment strategy template, we've actually identified marketing. So it has a little asterisk MKTG in the notes on the training and assessment strategy document that identifies this should be on your marketing material, this should be on your marketing material as a minimum. So these are the information. And it's this yellow highlighted information that we've got here on the marketing flyer here. So up the top here should be the code and title of the qualification or the unit of competency that you're delivering. So if you were delivering a BSB qualification, I'll go TAE 40116, which is the latest one, which is Certificate 4 in Training and Assessment. So it should be the code and title of the qualification that goes up in here, or the code and title of the unit of competency that you wish to deliver. So that's what goes up in there. The duration is the duration of when you're going to deliver the course. So is it 1 day a week? Is it 3 days a week for 40 weeks? Is it a 1 day course? It should be really clear on here. And what you should also put on here is the actual start and end times of the training as well. For the purpose of audit, we don't put that in there. We just put the hours. But once you start using this as a marketing material, you should actually put the start time and the end time on there as well. Also the location of where the training will be conducted. As I said earlier, if you will be delivering a theory-based component of your training in a different location from the practical-based component of your training, then it should be clear on here where the theory will be delivered and where the practical component will be delivered. It should be clear on here what your course fees are as well. And we've also got a note on here that your enrolment form should be adjusted and your Q&C manual should be adjusted with the same course fees. And what are any payment plans if you have a payment plan. This is for a single unit of competency, this flyer, I just realised. So a single unit of competency will only have the NRT logo. I actually have one for a full qual. So a full qual will have the NRT logo and the AQF logo, and you should have a payment plan in here as well. So what will the payment plan be for the qualification? So that's the difference between the single unit of competency. There won't be, or you may not have a payment plan. It may be that if they pay the full fees up front, whereas a full qual, they will have a payment plan in place as well. So you'll have that there. Okay, so any additional fees, so if there's any other fees like a police record check or working with children check, you should outline what those fees are. If there's any fees for licensing, that would go in here as well. If there's a requirement that the student must undertake work placement, you should include here what those details are. So how many hours in total, where do they have to get the work placement? Are you assisting them with the work placement requirements? That needs to be clear on there. Mode of assessment needs to go on here now. It never used to. The auditors are now looking for that on their marketing material. They want you to make it clear and transparent to the student how they're going to be assessed. So what types of assessments will you be conducting? Any resources that you're going to provide to the student as well. So it should have your logo in here as well as the AQF, NRT logo and the AQF logo if it's a full qual. Need to list on the back. The course description can come from the training package, but you can have your own course description here. So you can put in here whatever you want to explain your course. We generally put the information from the training package, but you can put anything else. If you want to describe the course in any other way, you can put that in here. The selection criteria is any existing skills and knowledge that the student must have prior to course commencement. This includes if they must hold a unit of competency or a qualification or existing skills and knowledge that they must have prior to course commencement. That needs to be listed here. With the single unit, the competency, you don't have to offer RPL, but for full qualifications, we must offer recognition of prior learning. And in the student handbook, it actually outlines what the RPL process is and what the credit transfer process is as well. And in here, you should list all the units, so the code and title and the units of that will be offered in the course. So I'll just look at the full qual. So that was single unit. That's single unit. I'm just trying to find the full qual. That's for the full qual there. So that's a full qual. And what might be different? Yeah, there's not much that's different in there. It's just the logos aren't on there. Okay, so that's course flyer. Any questions about the course flyer and what should be on the course flyer? If you can add that there. Now, we also have a course flyer checklist. So this course flyer checklist, or marketing checklist, it should also be, you can actually use this to check your website as well to make sure that it has all the information on there, the minimum requirements. So do you have the code and title? Are the units listed with code and title as well? Have you used the NRT logo within the requirements of the NRT logo requirements, as well as the AQF logo? And you've got to be careful with how you use those logos. Are all the course fees, including material costs, listed on your marketing material? Have you got your payment methods listed on there? Is the deposit less than $1,500? So you've got to have, that's a requirement unless you have tuition insurance scheme. And with Cricos, you can do that as well. So you can have tuition insurance scheme, which allows you to take more, and that's like a training guarantee that you may have. Fee protection measure that you have in place to ensure that the student fees are protected. Any additional fees are listed, any licensing requirements, the course duration and delivery mode, what you will provide, any reference to your terms and conditions of enrollment, your RTO IDs listed, the RTO contact details, and any reference to work placement is listed on there as well. So you can use this as a check to make sure that your marketing material has all the relevant information on there. Okay, so we'll go back to the slides. Okay, hello, wrong one. On the back one. Go to your marketing material. Okay, back to the slides. All right, so that's the information that you must have on your course flyer. So you should break down the units of competencies to full qualification, include all the fees, have your payment terms and conditions, any reassessment fees that may apply, as I'd already discussed. We have an organisational profile template that you can use as well, which is quite good for just doing your general marketing material. So you can, the organisational profile template is really good for tender applications, but it's also good for just a general marketing. I also recommend that you use the organisational profile in preparation for writing your website. So it's all the key information that you should have on your website is on the organisational profile. So I recommend this document as a document you can use for getting ready for doing your marketing on your website. So I'm just going to have a look at this organisational profile. Let's see if it's going to come up. But it includes all the information about your organisation, what's on your scope of registration. It's a good tool for your marketing your company. We're just going to see if it's going to come up. It doesn't look like it's coming up. Organisational profile. Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen now and you can have a look at this organisational profile. So all of these documents are available on Unicorn, so you can access them on Unicorn and download these documents. Now, the organisational profile, the way we've done it is all the yellow highlights is areas that you need to edit. That's more information about your organisation. So we've put some basic information about an RTO in there. You should put in there, information about your facilities and equipment that you're going to provide. We've got some information about continual improvement and your trainers and assessors and what certificates you may have. This is some government funding that's available. So you'll delete what's not applicable to your RTO, networks and memberships and things like that. What are the skill service organisations? So you should put in what your skill service organisations are. We've got some information about the skill service organisations there on the website. On the organisational profile, which you can also put on your website. Your insurance information can go on here as well, and then a conclusion. So this is a template that you can use that is a basis for marketing of your organisation, and it's a great, as I said before, it's a great tool to use in preparation for getting your website up and going. Okay, so we'll go back to the PowerPoint again. Okay, so that's the organisational profile and some information there. Okay, so now the sticky one, websites. This is where we get, as I stated before, where a lot of RTOs have non-compliances. Now, if you would like me to review your website and if you're willing and game enough, I can have a look at your website and actually give you, look, it's free consultation. I can have a look at your website and identify if there's any non-compliances on your website or if it's compliant. So we're actually going to be looking at one of our clients' websites today. Might be a bit of a surprise for them. Oh, good. I've got a willing participant who wants us to have a look at their website. So excellent. I'll have a look at that one. I don't know whether we've actually got this client on today, but we're going to have a look at Holistic Training's website today, and main reason why is because I actually reviewed it recently and they fixed it and it's compliant. So we'll be having a look at Holistic Training's website today, which is one of our clients, and we'll also be looking at a non-compliant, not one of our clients, non-compliant website as well, just to give you an example of what should not be on your website. And we're also going to have a look at another client's Facebook page. So we're going to be having a look at a few of those today. So with the website, you need to make sure you can use that marketing checklist that we have there as one of your checks to make sure that the website is compliant. So it should be, so if you use the course flyer template, you can actually upload that to your website and that will have sufficient information on there for the student to make an informed decision prior to course commencement. So we can have a look at that. So it should include all the entrance requirements or prerequisites for your students in order to enter the course. It should have the course structure and your delivery mode, how you intend to deliver the course or how you are in delivering the course. It should be clear and transparent on your marketing prior to course commencement. What I need to know before I do this course, and think of it as you are the student and you're going onto that website to identify, is there sufficient information on that website for me to do this course? So it should have a breakdown of the units. You don't have to have all the course fees. You can have a link that they then go to you where you send more information. Now, where you may not want to put the course fees on your website is because you don't want your competitors to get on your website and see what you're charging so that they then try and price match you. So you can have it so that you've got the key information and then a link where they've got to ring the office to get the course fees sent to them via email. So as long as the course fees are clear and transparent prior to course commencement and what the payment terms and conditions are. So they're the main things that should be on the website. So I'll just go through the rest of the slides before I go check out these websites. So there are strict conditions on how you can use the AQF and the NRT logo, and there's major non-compliances. Big thing is you should not use the AQF logo or the NRT logo in the footer of your website. It can only be used next to the code and title of the unit of competency that you're delivering or the full qualification that you're delivering. And the AQF logo can only ever be used with the full code of the qualification code and title of the qualification. If you're delivering a single unit of competency, you should never have the AQF logo on any of your marketing material. You should never, ever use the NRT logo or the AQF logo with marketing any non-accredited training that you may be offering. So these are the major non-compliances that I see often, is those logos being used inappropriately on the website. So this is the AQF logo and the NRT logo. These are often what I see as inappropriate uses of the logo. You cannot change the color of the logo. You can't stretch it. You can't distort it. There's very specific requirements on the colors that you can use for the logo. So be very careful with how you're using those. So as I explained, 5.1 and 5.2 is the information you provide your student prior to course commencement. So the focus is that the student is making an informed decision prior to course commencement. So that includes your student handbook, the information you're providing to your student in the student handbook, but also in your marketing material. So as I said before, a lot of the requirements, if you're non-compliant in your marketing, you're also going to be non-compliant, trigger a non-compliance in 5.1 and 5.2 because they go hand in hand. This information here is in your Q&C manual, so it's where you will be where you'll use different information on your marketing material. So all of that information, the time frame information on the left-hand side must be in all of your marketing material. So your RTO is responsible for ensuring that they recruit and select students who have the required skills and knowledge to complete the student. That means that you are not recruiting students to go into a diploma level qualification and they don't have the required skills and knowledge prior to course commencement to complete that course. So you need to ensure that the students are actually got the skills and knowledge required. So the other one is undertaking an L&N assessment prior to course commencement to identify that they have the language, literacy and numeracy skills in order to complete the course. The ASPA do not want you recruiting students that are do not have the required skills and knowledge prior to course commencement. And the reason why is because they want successful completion rate. So they want the students to be able to complete the course. Another responsibility of the RTO is to actually induct the student and make sure and actually interview the student, particularly for full qualifications, and identify, do they have the skills and knowledge to complete this course? And it should also be clear on your marketing material as well if there's any fees for reassessment or certificate reissue fees. Okay, and it should be clear what your student process support services requirements is. This has come from the Q&C manual. It's also in the student handbook. So in your support services that you identify prior to course enrollment, whether the student has a disability or whether they require any further support services. Now, not all students are going to be open and transparent about any disabilities that they may have. So it's also the trainer's responsibility to be continually monitoring the student to ensure that they actually have the skills and knowledge to complete the course. So you should be speaking to the student prior to the course commencement. If they have a disability, identify a plan on how you will assist the student through the course without giving away answers, but it's adapting the course to meet their needs, and what support services that you'll provide throughout the course enrolment of the student. So as we explained before, we have some marketing material, which we've gone through a few of those already. I'm just going to skip through a few things. The enrolment agreement form covers off a lot of the clauses within the standards and includes a lot of information in there that the student must know prior to course commencement. In the majority of cases, particularly for single units of competency, the enrolment agreement form and the course flyer is all you need to give to the student prior to course commencement to meet the requirements of 4.1, 5.1 and 5.2, because it has information about the terms and conditions of enrolment. You do not have to provide a printed copy of your enrolment form or your student handbook. It can be an electronic copy. You can have a website where they can enroll online as well, so you can have it online enrolment forms as well. Okay, sorry, I got distracted. Someone it's typo bottom right, identify spelt wrong. Thank you. Thanks, Kim. Okay. And the enrolment agreement form includes confirmation that the RTO is responsible for compliance and that you will issue the certificate and that you are responsible for complaints and appeals process and the learner's rights to a third party in the event of the RTO closing or any changes to agreed services. So each student is required to complete an enrolment agreement form prior to course commencement, and the form must be signed on both sides by the student. On the front of the enrolment agreement form to state that they are the information that they have provided on the enrolment form is true and correct, and on the back they sign the back of the enrolment form to state that they agree to the terms and conditions of enrolment. So that we'll have a look at our enrolment agreement form. Some slight differences with CRICOS. CRICOS, you must provide a student prospectus document as well, and its main difference with the marketing material with the student prospectus is it provides information about living in Australia and support services to support the student while they're living in Australia and how you're going to look after the student. With Cricos as well, you need to have a written agreement that's signed by the student, so you can have the enrolment agreement form, but also a letter of offer that they've signed as well. This is changing with the new national code that's coming out 1st of January 2018. It's going to be managed through prisms in the future, where the letter of offer will go through prisms, so it will go through a process through there. As I stated earlier, your website can't promote that you're a Cricos provider if you're not already a Cricos provider. People will complain about you. And we also have an international student handbook that includes key information about what are the requirements, what are the roles and responsibilities of the international student, but also as a Cricos provider, how you'll look after the student. So it's a bit different with Cricos because it's all about how you'll support the student throughout their training. So support services and information about how to settle into Australia. So we're going to have a look at, I'm going to have a look at the enrolment agreement form. And I'm just going to go switch to sharing my screen, and we're also going to check out some websites. So I've got 2 willing volunteers who have given me their websites, so we're going to be checking out their websites, as well as this other client's website that I know that is compliant now. Okay, so this is the enrolment agreement form. So this information on the front is your vetness data, but on the back is the key information for your terms and conditions of enrolment. This information here is all the information, so that's where the student needs to sign to state that they are understand their rights and responsibilities as a student. This is a Cricos one, so Cricos is slightly different because you've got to include previous studies and your English proficiency as well, so it's slightly different on your Cricos enrolment form. The vetness data is the same. Your declaration is slightly different because they've got to meet the requirements of visa requirements and also border protection patrol control as well. So they've got to meet those requirements. So it's slightly different for Cricos on the enrolment form. It includes information about that. So I've still got reference to DAC there. That will be changing to border protection. So that's Cricos. I think we've gone through all of those. And then we have also the international, here it is. This is an international student prospectus for Cricos as well. So with the international students, we've even got to, give them emergency contact numbers, beach safety, how to settle in Australia. There's maps of your location, things like that. What are your course fees? How are you going to be delivering the course and things like that. So it's a bit more information that you've got to provide the student prior to course commencement. Now, as an RTO, you can also disseminate this information to your domestic students. So it's not just for international students. You can also disseminate this information to them. It's not bad information because it's information about your RTO and your location and what's nearby, what shops are nearby and things like that as well. So that helps the student to feel welcome at the RTO. Okay, all right, so that's marketing materials. Now we're going to have a look at some websites. So here's one website we're going to have a look at. So I said we're going to have a look at holistic training. I audited this one recently, so I know it's compliant. So what's good here is they've got all their contact information on here. On the footer, they've got the RTO ID in here. You should always have the footer of your RTO. In the footer of your RTO, you should have the name of your RTO and the RTO ID. Now, they're also delivering security licensing, so they've also got their master license in the footer of the website as well. So this is really good how they've got all this information here. You should always have your RTO ID should be on every page, so it should be on the footer of your website. You'll see here they've got the code and title of the unit of competency that they're delivering, where, the date of when it's going to be delivered and the location. So this is all good on here. They've got information, so everywhere they've got the code and title in there. So you can have first aid training listed separately, but you must have the code and title listed next to it. Now, they could have the NRT logo listed here. Yes, it's lucky you did fix it, Gemma. You can have your NRT logo on this page here near the code and title, but you can't, as I said before, you can't have it in your footer. So you shouldn't have the code and title down here. But this is a really good example of a great website. It's got some great photos on there. It's got the duration, location. It's got all the course fees on there as well. So it's really good how they've broken down the course. It's a really good example of a good website. They've even got information about training.gov.au as well. So they're sending a link to the website where how I'd improve that more is most where you put the code, send the link directly to it might actually do that, but I can't see that in that web address there. But you could actually send them to the actual unit of competency on training.gov.au. So that's quite good. So that's a good website where it's got compliant information. So they've got RSA on there as well. Now they've got a couple of RTOs that are listed under one banner. So they've got holistic training where there's 2 RTOs listed on there. So they've got the RTO ID in there. So where now have you got your licensing outcomes? Yes. So they've got how to get the card. In order to meet the licensing requirements, they've got to get an OLGA, so Officer Liquor, Gaming and Racing Photo Competency Card. So they've listed on here what's required and the fees involved with getting the license outcome as well. So it's not just the certificate. To get the certificate, it's also the license outcome in order to meet the RSA requirements, so responsible service of alcohol. So this is good. So it's really good. They've got some testimonials on there. Once again, code and title on there. So very good. Excellent. All right. So a couple of guinea pigs have offered up their website. So let's check these ones out. So Holy Family Services have offered their website. So I'm going to check out their website. So they've got that they're an RTO. So I'm going to check out their RTO. So they've got the code and title of their qualifications listed in here, got the RTO ID. So I would recommend, Diana, that you put in the footer your RTO ID. So just change the website and just pop in the bottom here your RTO ID, somewhere down here. Or is it right underneath and I can't see it? Maybe I can't see it. Is it there? Okay, you haven't got it there. All right, okay. So you could put it right down the bottom down here as well. So where you've got copyright, Holy Family Services down there in your terms and conditions, you can put your RTO ID in there, okay? So I'd recommend that you do that. It's just the easiest way to make it compliant is pop it in there. Now, they've also got the qualifications, so I'm going to click on a qual and have a look at that. So they've broken it down. So you've got, this is a real stickler. You've got to have the code before the title. It's a pain in the neck, but it's what they require. Now, you can have a different course name up here. You could say Aging and Pastoral Care up here, but you've got to have the code and title in that order. So you've got to make sure it's always in that order, and that's what I would recommend that you have in there. So you've got a course breakdown. So once again here, Certificate 3. So you've got to have code, then title. So you've got to move the code over to the other side. You can't shorten cert. You've got to have Certificate 3 in individual support. So you've got to put the full certificate listed in there. You have used the right 4, which is great, because I often see Certificate 4 with the number 4, which is non-compliant. It's got to be code and title. So make sure you put it in there. You could call this a management course and then put underneath it Certificate 4 in Leadership Management. So that's an example of how you could change that around. Listed the units of competency, and then you've got a link to a flyer. So they can then look at the flyer. Let's go into Dropbox. Let's see what happens. And there's more information in there. So you've got the topics, you've got the breakdown. Have you got course fees? So $150 per unit, total cost of $1,800. So you might want to make it clear on there that what the payment plan is and that they won't pay. Okay, Certificate 4. $450. So just make sure it's clear that they won't be paying more than $1,500 prior to course commencement. I'm just doing a quick look at this, Diana, so it could be in here, but I'm just identifying that you need to make sure it's clear that they won't be paying more than $1,500. You've got the assessment requirements. just include in there what type of assessments are that they will be required to do. So they've got an assessment booklet. So what I mean by that is written assessments, observations, if they've got third-party reporting, that type of assessment should be listed in there as well. Okay, so that's that one there. And then you've got the enrolment agreement form, so which should be our form. Yes, looks very familiar. So you can do that. Now you can change that form. Oh, look, you haven't changed the fees here on your form. So see this yellow highlight? You need to change your fees on here. So just make sure it's the fees, what your admin fee is. So whatever that admin fee is, so you should change that on there. Other than that, it's fine. Okay, so just change your admin fee on there, but that's fine. You could also make that enrolment form a form on your website. So you could actually put all of that data that's on the enrolment form onto an electronic enrolment form where they can fill it out on the website. And then when they fill it out on the website, you can have the terms and conditions flash up and say, do you agree to these terms and conditions? And they can actually tick a box to say, yes, they agree with the terms and conditions. And that's sufficient instead of signing off, because you'll have a IP address where they've clicked to say that they agree with the terms and conditions. So if you wanted to do it that way, you could do it that way as well. So I'm not seeing any major non-compliances. You haven't got the NRT logo listed anywhere. You could if you wanted to, but you need to make sure it's only with the code and title of the qualification. An improvement on that, I'd just have a bit more information about the course on there. That would be an only improvement I'd have on there. Any questions that you might have, Diana, about what you might be concerned about on your website? I've given you a couple of suggestions there, but other than that, if I was you, I'd put more information about the course on there, because there's not, me as a potential student, I'd look at that website and go, oh, there's not very much information on there. That's not really going to convince me. As a marketing person, that's the way I'm looking at it. That's not really going to convince me that I should go do that course. So that would be a suggestion I'd put on there. Whereas when you looked at holistic training, it was a bit different on that one. They had a lot more information. Okay, here's another guinea pig who's offered up their website. So I'm going to check out this one. So this is Australia's leading academy that I'm having a look at. So looking at the website. So first of all, it's just loading. Oh, no, I think that's it for the page. So we're going to have a look at some courses. Yep, 3-year graduate programs. We've got business out. It doesn't seem to be scrolling. Oh, here we go. Okay, so we've got a diploma of business admin. Let's have a look. So code needs to be here. So Vanessa, you need to put the code here. So code and title. Got to always have the code and title in there. As I said before, what you could do is have business administration up above, and then below that put the code and title. But you've got to have the code and title in there, listed in there. For some reason it doesn't want to scroll. Possible career outcomes. Just be careful, because this could come up as you're guaranteeing that they're going to get a career outcome. I like that you put possible. That's good, because you're not guaranteeing. We took this off all of our marketing material because we thought it could be perceived that we could be guaranteeing a training outcome. So that's why we took it off. It's not non-compliant, but yeah, because you've got possible on there. You've listed the units, so you've got 8. Have you listed that? Yes, you've got the units in there, so that's fine. You've got code and title, which is good. So you've got code and title of the units here, which is all good. You've got how you'll be delivering, so classroom, work-based, online, distance. So if you explained the delivery mode, which is really good. You've got the locations, which is awesome. What resources, so what you're supplying, so that's good. You've explained what you'll be supplying to the student. You've got your entry requirements in there as well, so that's a good breakdown. You've also got support services. So you could also do a link to, so you've got a link to USI, how to apply. You can do a link to your student handbook in there as well. You haven't got a link to your enrolment form. How do they enroll? how to apply. Apply online using the student enrollment. I'd have a link here. You're saying how to apply here, but there's no link. I've got to go now seek and destroy and go find where this link is to enroll. So I would have a big flashing button here saying enroll now, where they can you find the enroll form. You don't want them to go seeking on your website how to enroll into this course. So and it's under documentation. Like, I wouldn't know that that's where it is. So if you've got an online enrollment, yes, online enrollment. I definitely have a button on every page, enroll here now. I'd have it everywhere. I'd have it on your courses page, and I'd list all your courses underneath this, under here as well. I'd have all the courses listed here, not make them go to a page and then another page. So I've then got to go to another page here. I'd have them listed underneath here so I can go straight to the course that I want to. And I'd have a flashing button here saying enroll now, enroll now, enroll now, or one up here, enroll now, enroll now. You want to be marketing enroll now, get on there. But non-compliances wise, you're fine. Have you got your code? Yep, you've got your RTO code down here. It's not NVR anymore. So you've got to take the NVR off. That's the old standards. So it's RTO now. So, and we're under, so what have we got? Australian Skills Quality Authority under the National Vocational Education and Training Act. So it's the standards for RTOs now. So you've got to need to remove NVR. It's no longer NVR. That's old standards. But you've got your RTO ID. That's fine. Another recommendation, have you got a hyperlink? No, you could do a hyperlink to TGA so they can look up your information on TGA. So that's a recommendation. But compliance-wise, it's good. All good. All right. Okay, so that's a couple of websites. Did you have any questions, Vanessa, about your website? I haven't heard anything from you. Angela, are we allowed to put a topic name with the course code and title underneath? Yeah, sure. Yeah, for sure. You can do that. Yep, definitely. The standard basically says that you've got to have the code and title. So you need to have the code and title there. So I would put a course name up here and on the brochure as well. Yeah, so on the brochure. But all of the standard states you must have code and title in that order in all of your marketing material. So on your brochure, on your website and everything. But you could just call it leadership management and then underneath put diploma of leadership management code, the code, so BSB 50, whatever it is, with diploma of leadership management underneath that there, and same on your brochure on your website. Okay. All right. And good, Vanessa, you're happy with that feedback? Excellent. Okay. And we're just gone over time, but I just thought I'd have a quick look at a Facebook page. So you can have a look at this one. So this is another client of ours, or previous client of ours. So they're quite good with their marketing. That's why I chose them. They do quite a bit of marketing in there, but they don't have in their name, they don't have their RTO ID. So that's something I'd recommend, because when you do your marketing, so when they post anything, it's just got the RTO there, not the ID. So what I'd recommend is put the RTO ID next to your name. So when you have your Facebook page, part of the name is the RTO ID. And that way, every time you do an ad, the RTO ID is going to come up and you don't have to think about it. See this ad here? They haven't promoted it, but they've posted it. It doesn't have, so there's no code and title. So they've just got the title, no code, and they haven't got that RTO ID. So that's non-compliant. So you need to have, this is fine because this is just some students. That's fine. You can promote that. There's some more students there. But anytime where you're promoting a course, a single unit or a qualification, you need to have in there the code and title. So there's no code and title here. It's not clear whether this is a non-accredited course or accredited course. So I'm not sure whether it is or not. This one says it's a short accredited course, but it doesn't say what the units are. So that's a non-compliance. So every time you market on your Facebook page a qualification, you need to put on here the code and title of the unit and the qualification. And you've got to have the RTO ID all the time. So the best method, put it in your name of your Facebook page. That's the best method I can see. And every time you market a unit, a competency, or a qualification. So let's have a look at holistic. Sorry, Gemma, we're going to have a look at your one. Let's see if you've got it right on yours. Okay, so with holistic, I'd recommend, so Gemma, that you put the code, your RTO ID in the name and put it in there. I think your adverts are quite good. First aid, so you've got first aid. You haven't got code and title of the unit there. You haven't got code and title here, so make sure you put it in here, code and title. So whenever you're marketing, you need to put it in there, code and title, okay? And you need to have your RTO ID. So get on your Facebook page, Gemma, and change that. I don't know whether you're responsible for doing that, but whoever it is, need to get on there. I know Ben, he posts a bit on there because I see him reposting stuff all the time. Yeah, get on there and put your code in the name, so your RTO number in there, and every time you advertise a course, put the code and title of the unit and the qualification. Okay, so that's just some tips on social media marketing. Anybody have any questions on social media marketing and what should be on the social media marketing? Here's your chance to ask a question. And that's it. That's it for the for today's session. I'll just put when the next session is going to be on. If you have any other questions about marketing or any other question, next webinar, insert date here. That's really good. So, the next webinar will be on, I'll just check that for you. It will be on Monday, the 6th of November at 3 p.m. 2 p.m. 3 p.m. Yeah, 3 p.m. Monday, the 6th of November. So I'll see you on that one. Yeah, thank you for attending today. If you have any questions, got no questions by the looks of it, thank you for attending today. Really enjoyed having you here. It's great. I've had people chatting with me, so that's been brilliant. I love it when people chat with me, and I love it when it's interactive and that I can actually check out your websites and things like that. That's awesome. I'm fine to have a look at your websites at any time. The team here can also have a look. As part of membership, we do check out your websites as well, so quite happy for you to send us a link to your website and we'll check it out. We were just recently checking out Holistic Training's website because we're going to do some first aid training with them, and I'm quite happy to check out your website, so at any time. So quite happy to have a look. As you may or may not know, my background's marketing, branding, business development, growth. So marketing side, I love it. I love that side. So yeah, if you need any help with that, please let me know. Hope you enjoyed today. Check out Gerald Chait's website because he's there to help you as well. He does SEO. He does website development as well. So if you haven't got a website yet or you want some redevelopment of your website, you can contact him as well. He's a friend of ours as well, and he's been brilliant helping us out with our marketing. All right, thank you guys. I'll see you next month. Have a great month. Bye.